What's going on, family? How y'all doing? Wait till a couple of y'all get up in here. Oh, what's up, fam? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's up, family? Shalom. How you doing? How you doing? What's going on, family? What's up? What's up, family? How y'all doing? What's up? How y'all doing, family? How y'all day been going? We're gonna start in 30 seconds. 28 seconds. We're gonna start. We're gonna start. What's up? How y'all doing? Blessings. Zico, what's up? What's up, fam? 20 more seconds, y'all. We're gonna start. We're gonna start. Tony, what's up? Red Pill, Keano. Your name, Keano? 10 seconds, family. We're gonna start in 10 seconds. All right. Kicked out of that Dodge dealer. Talking about the Dodge dealer. Yeah, sometimes it can happen like that. So let's get started, y'all. So this video gonna be about Constitution versus contracts, and I'm gonna tell you how it correlates, right? And what we gotta understand, right? So for many years, you got brothers and sisters of this movement, what they call it sovereign citizen movement. It's not really a movement, but a lot of people who actually waking up. They call people who waking up a movement, right? So they say a lot of us, who practice the Constitution, a lot of us who practice the laws of the land and everything like that, right? We are quote unquote sovereign citizens, right? So we quoting United States of America constitutional laws where we are sovereign citizens. Make this shit make sense, right? But let's go deeper, right? So the Constitution and contracts, right? And this is what I want to break down a little bit, right? So you got the constitutional side. You got all your rights, your right to bear arms, your right to do whatever you want, right? But it's a flip side, because you also have something called contract law, right? You have contracts, right? So anytime a contract is stipulated, it must be enforced, right? So 9 times out of 10, when you're dealing with local authority, like say you got a job, you have a contract with your job. So the moment you mess up something at work, what you do, you get a violation. So the same thing that goes on the roads. So anytime you get in contact with the police or law enforcement, and there's a contract in place, of course they're going to execute instantly, whether they're going to stop you for a long period of time or unless they're going to make the arrest, right? Now, since this system got so messed up, you got every law enforcement operating with the presumption that we are citizens, operating with the presumption that they have contracts against us, operating with the presumption, right? Now, most law enforcement is not even put on game with any of this stuff, right? So most of them, they see us, they say, oh, these people sovereign citizens. They crazy. These are people who see people on YouTube and they just do anything. They just, they ride past red lights and everything like that. But most of these people is exercising their common law rights to keep and bear arms, to travel on the roads without a license. These, your common law rights. But every law enforcement, they don't know nothing about your common law rights. But when there's no contract, there cannot be an arrest that's executed. So the boss who worked with them, right, who would be the sergeant or whatever the case might be, will look at your file. If you have no contracts with them, that's when they try to attempt to get a contract from you. Hey, let's see, do they live in our territory? Let's see what can we bring him on? Like, what can we do, right? But since there's no contract in place, most of the time police will be forced to either write you a citation and let you go, or they just clearly let you go. Now, I know in certain situations, even times where you don't have contracts with the state, like me, sometimes the police will overstep, right? But let me explain to you how something works, right? Now, I explained before that your driver's license and your state ID have penal bonds on it, right? So those numbers that's on your driver's license is linked, right, in public records, and it has all of your information, right? So anytime that you get a warrant placed on a driver's license, the judge in the courthouse place that warrant, right? And it notifies the Secretary of State that you have a warrant on the driver's license. So therefore, the Secretary of State places a hold on your file. So say, for instance, say if a person, like most people do, they get this knowledge when they get already stuck, right? When they're in a situation where they fighting, let's just say, a fleeing and eluding. They running from the police and they end up going to jail or whatever the case might be, right? Let's just say if they didn't go to court and they skipped out on bond. So the judge issue a warrant, and then you learned all this information, how to get the passport as a national, how to get out of contracts. Let's just say they go ahead and apply for the passport, and then they go ahead and go right behind and try to cancel out the contracts. Since the judge issued a warrant on your driver's license, the Secretary of State already had that notified. So what most people do, they have to go up to the DMV, right? Once you go to the DMV, what they're going to do is they're going to see on the record that it's a warrant, right? And they're not going to say anything. They're going to say, sir, sit down real quick. We're going to give you a ticket number. All the supervisors are going to do is go to the back. They're going to call law enforcement. Law enforcement going to end up coming like 10, 15 minutes later, but they're going to be told to stall you. They're going to say, yeah, sir, you got a hold on your license, right? Right before the police walk in. They're going to say, sir, you have a hold on your license. And you're going to be like, I have a hold on my license. How? They're going to say, yeah, they're not telling us this. I guess you have a warrant or something. He'll say, no, I don't have a warrant. They're going to say, okay, just wait 1 second. Police walk in, arrest you. And you're like, what the heck? No, you can't cancel contracts that easy without fulfilling all of your obligations. That's why you can't cancel a contract with a warrant, because guess what? That warrant, the Secretary of State places a hold on your file. So when they place a hold on your file, you can't do nothing with it. Even if you got the passport, let's just say if you got the passport, right? It doesn't matter, because that file is still in effect, because you have not surrendered it. Now, once you surrender it, and they try to charge you with that same ID, that ID is not in effect, because it's impossible for you to write a person any citation or any criminal charge on the ID that they do not have. And proof that you don't have it is you voluntarily surrender your ID over to the Secretary of State and the police. So they can't say, hey, he gave us this jurisdiction, he gave us this ID number, because on record, he don't have this ID anymore because he voluntarily surrendered it. You get what I'm saying? So before you do anything, you still have to cancel out the contracts that you have with the state. I told plenty of people plenty of time, it's the driver's license, it's the state ID, it's the voter's registration. But I'm going to tell y'all what I did. I think I told y'all this before. Remember when I got the ticket, right, like a month ago? So I ain't worried about the court situation. That's over with. But what I am going to say is, just so I would never walk into those hiccups again, I went back into the Secretary of State, and they still allowed me to update my address, right, on my old ID. They told me my issuance date, and they told me my expiration date. So I went online, and I updated all of my information all over again. Even though the document is surrendered, even though I sent it back to the Secretary of State, you still want to go ahead and change your address, because you don't want the presumption that you are a U.S. citizen. You don't want the presumption that you're not a U.S. citizen, but that you live in their territories, because like I said plenty of times, nationality and status has nothing to do with jurisdiction. Because jurisdiction, like I explained before, is minimum context. Your connections with the state, i.e. your connections with the state. Since the language is not clear about jurisdiction, most people will run from it. Like most people will run all the way around in circles, because we thinking jurisdiction mean a trust. We think jurisdiction mean giving notice. We think jurisdiction mean an affidavit. Write out an affidavit. We think jurisdiction if we, all type of stuff. So that's what we've been thinking for years. But since no one know the clear language, and they're not understanding it, many of us fall victim all the time. So the way I found out how they got us through contracts is when I got arrested for the pistol, and I was wondering, I'm a national. My passport state that I'm a national, right? Like I'm out of jurisdiction. But when I gave that nurse my address, the police was able to file up and write up a bond for a case. Now they're able to bond over the case. So once they was able to bond over the case, they was able to make the arrest. Once they was able to make the arrest, everything, of course we beat it, but it's the fact that when I look back at it, I was like, okay, this is what they used to gain jurisdiction. Dang, okay. So what I gave them was a contractual waiver, because remember, I never lived in the state of Florida. I mean, I ain't never had an ID in the state of Florida. So it's nothing they can go off of. So when I told them an address, they could use that passport as my ID. And at the bottom where it says mailing address or address, they're going to put the physical address that I gave them. And so they had enough to write up the bond. Because I'm going to tell y'all something else. When I got all of my documents from the prosecutor, the state of Florida didn't even have my social security number. They didn't even have it. They didn't even have my social security number at all. Because remember, I'm not a resident of the state of Florida. You get what I'm saying? But for the most part, I went ahead and got in contact with the police again. Now this right after I beat my trial, right? So this is around the time where I used my EIN number instead of my social when I was at a car dealership. Now the person at the car dealership noticed that it was not my SSN, it was my EIN that I used for my social. The police came there to try to attempt to make an arrest, right? So they asked me, right, on behalf of my wife and everything like that. They said, hey, sir, well, what is a good mailing address for you? I mean, what is a good place of residence for you guys? I said, yes, sir. We live in the United States of America Republic. He said, walk clean out. And I remember that yellow notepad. Look, I'm gonna tell you something crazy. I am traumatized by that yellow notepad that they showed. That yellow notepad caused me to be arrested. Every time they pulled out that yellow notepad, it's the magic words, where do you live? And when I started finding out about territorial jurisdiction, it was over with because it was so simplified. It wasn't even complex like I thought it was. You get what I'm saying? So you can send 1 million notices out, 1 million affidavits out, 1 million everything out, and nothing will change because imagine we doing admiralty law over here, right? We dealing with code statutes and everything, and you got a person filing a 10-page affidavit. I will be traveling through your town. I will be traveling with my private plates and my private conveyance. And I have these plates on. They're going to say, okay, when we see this car, we're going to pull him over and arrest his ass. Because a notice means nothing. The best notice is getting out of contract. That's the best notice. Because you didn't notify anybody. A real sovereign don't notify anybody, but a real sovereign does do one thing, and that's getting out of contract because you do not want the presumption that you are a U.S. citizen or you are subjected to the territorial jurisdiction of the court. That's what you want to do. You don't want to do nothing else but get out of those obligations. Now, let's get back to it. So the Constitution stands only for those who is separated from contract. You have all of these rights until you decide to contract in. That's why every business requires you to contract with the state for some reason. When you get an auto loan, the first thing they ask you to do is register your vehicle with the DMV. The moment you get a home, they require you to get a recorded deed, meaning you got to record your deed and register your house with the state and the county. So therefore, the state can gain jurisdiction over you. Now, that's one thing I'm really trying to figure out. If I go through this closing on this house, are they going to let me record my own deed? Every time I ask a person who's in this knowledge about the recorded deed situation, they always tell me, man, I do not know. I'm like, bro, how the hell you forgot this? But a lot of people forgot. Nobody pay attention to what is being done at the closing table. Remember, when a lot of people try to retract their mortgage agreements, like when they try to cancel out their signatures, they just sign it. They never sign it with a UCC 1-308 or a UCC 3-202 for the it's a resignature. It's a subjected to be rescinded. So that means the signature that you wrote down is subjected to be rescinded. So when you put a UCC 3-202, that's subjected to be rescinded. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to know everything because the whole car thing is easy to unregister a car. Now we got to get to the meat of it, how to unregister a house. That's what I really want to get to, because if you unregister a house, how can the court claim jurisdiction over the property? The same way with the vehicle. Remember, your home and your house and your car is the court is considered to have rem jurisdiction or in rem jurisdiction, however you want to say it. So when I unregistered my car, and the police were checking the VIN number, it's nothing that popped up. Nothing showed them that where I live. Nothing showed them that they had jurisdiction over the property. So just imagine that the police couldn't even take possession over my vehicle because it wasn't registered. So just imagine your house in case the banks try to move for foreclosure, and you can say, if the house is unregistered, how can you make that move? You get what I'm saying? So I never dealt with the house aspect, right? So I never dealt with unregistering the house. I never dealt with registering the house. So this is the things that I want to learn. You get what I'm saying? And trust does not matter. I'm going to tell y'all something, right? And listen. As long as a property is registered, does not matter if you put a trust, does not matter if you put an LLC, does not matter if you put an estate, it is still registered property. The same way it would be if you register a car. If you register a car, right, it does not matter if it's under a trust. It does not matter if it's under an LLC. It's still property of the state. Now, it could be a better situation. Now, the argument could be if you register it under a trust, you can say, hey, I don't live here. The estate live here. The trust live here. Now, that's a good argument if you ever wanted to challenge personal jurisdiction. But what can pull you back is because the house is registered. So that means you can't even come near my home if it's not registered. I don't care. I don't care about none of that. You can't even come near my home, and you want to be in that position because you want to be in comfortability. You really want to live in private. You don't want police just coming to your house anytime they want, or the judge feel angry about something and write off a warrant just because of what the stuff I teach or anything like that. So I want to get to the bottom of how to unregister my house. But I'm going to find out real soon, the same way with the vehicle, because a lot of people thought you couldn't unregister a car because they have a lien on it. That's not true at all. You can unregister a car with a lien on it, but the only thing you can't do is legally transfer it. But there's other ways to scan the cat, because if you want to get a lien release off your vehicle, you get a court order title. That means you can take your limit to court and request for a lien release. But I got a video on that coming real soon. Now, land patent is good. You don't even need a land patent. Look, you wouldn't even need a land patent if you own your house. If you didn't register your home. Because an unregistered house, it don't matter if you got a land patent or not. It's unregistered. The state couldn't do anything. The state couldn't impose on your property. You get what I'm saying? So that's the main thing, unregistering the house, because the property needs to be unregistered. And you get what I'm saying? So we argued our constitutional rights, and now there's contract. There's contract. You get what I'm saying? So everything is making a person contract. I went to a store, right? And they were selling them ATV, them big old ATV things. And I asked him, I said, hey, I want this four-wheeler. He said, okay. You want it? I said, yeah. He said, okay, this is going to be this amount of money, but what state are you registering the vehicle in? I said, I'm not registered. I'm taking it out of the country. He said, no, man, you gotta register it. Then you can unregister it. I'm like, bro, I'm finna buy cash money. I'm not going through a bank. I'm not getting a loan or nothing like that. He said, no, you gotta register with state or we can't do any business. I said, what? So we is obligated to get in contracts. Like, we obligated to get in a contract. You get what I'm saying? Rescission of contract, yeah, that's when you cancel it out. But I don't even want to go through the process of paying the state taxes, paying all these registration fees, title fees, and everything like that, just to register a vehicle that I'm finna unregister anyway. You get what I'm saying? So they really put us through a lot. And I want an ATV, but I'd rather get mad for the manufacturer. I didn't want the ATV. I just wanted to ask some questions, because I noticed that every time you go through these processes, they always want you to register something. Same with your house. So people never known about the registration of your house. So most people just was thought like, oh man, it's my private property. No, a recorded deed is your evidence of registering your home, because when you go through the recorded deed process, it shows all the tenants that's going to be living. Because remember, don't separate the title. Don't mix up the title and the recorded deed. Those are two different things. The title shows ownership of the property, and it shows the land lot number where it was built at, the parcel number, right? and it shows the detail and the structure of the property, and it's an actual title, right? Now, the title is not evidence of registration, right? What's evidence of registration is the recorded deed, because once they put all the tenants who will be living at the house or who own the house, really own the house, not tenants, but just who own the house, right? That will be registered at the county. So once the county get that, now you subjected to pay taxes on that same property, because since it's registered, you have to pay property taxes. You get what I'm saying? And if you miss so many property taxes, you can lose your own home by somebody buying your taxes up on the tax lien list. You get what I'm saying? So you really got to be careful, y'all. So, that's what I'm looking into right now. How to unregister my property and everything like that. I don't got no problem paying back the banks. I want that credit. I want that. But as far as everything else, you really want to make sure that you is not stuck into that. Now I'm going to tell y'all something, right? Now, if any of you guys went through the mortgage process and y'all really remember everything that happened, and you got your closing disclosures, you can cover out every page. I want to know who actually went through the process of recording a deed. Like, did you do it yourself or did they do it? You get what I'm saying? So that's another part of contract that's so silent that most people don't know about. So people think their home is private. No, your home is not private. Once you register your property with the state, it is subjected to the state laws, statutes, and codes. Once your property is not registered with the state doesn't have rem jurisdiction to interfere. So the police can go to your property. Hold on 1 second. So the police, they can go to your property, they can check the address, and what they're going to do is they're going to find that the property is registered. And once they found out that the property is registered, they can actually submit, whatever they're going to send to the judge to try to get a search warrant on your property. And people might say, a search warrant? You didn't even do a crime. Do a crime? Listen, people got their house broken into by the police and the FBI due to suspicion of a crime. Not even that it was a crime, it was a suspicion of a crime. And anything in a book can be a suspicion of a crime. So I wanted my property to be safe and sound. Ain't no money. You're right, ain't no money. But like I said, you want your property to be safe and sound. No, you got to understand it's the property. Listen, you could tear off the address to your house. It doesn't matter about the address. Like, I'm talking about to your physical property. You can rip the address off. I just want my property to be not registered with the county. You get what I'm saying? So that's the main thing. You do not want your property to be registered with the county. You want to exclude yourself in your property from being registered with the county so you can be operating in the private. That's what I'm saying. But the only flip side to that is home insurance. Most home insurance, they won't cover a home that's not registered. Ain't that crazy? Some would, some wouldn't. That's another thing. So when I read they disclaimer, they said the home must be registered in order to the home must be registered in order for us to insure you. That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you like weed, blood? No. Nope. Don't smoke at all, sir. Mm-mm. The trust had to be registered to a P.O. box. Yeah, but you got to unregister all the way. You can't put it in the name of the trust. Put the trust in lieu of your name doesn't take away the fact that the home is still registered. It could take away the fact that you actually live there, but it don't take away the fact that your home is registered, and it can mess you up. Can you tell us how to get 0 cars, 0 down payment, use consumer law? Oh, so you got to meet all the factors of credit. So one thing I do for a lot of you guys, I can check your credit and criteria, and I can tell you that what you can get off your credit. It just depends on your credit. Because using consumer law solely, no. Because, don't get me wrong, the consumer law is good, but it's going to be a battle. I check over the credit criteria. My man's Tone, a lot of you guys go subscribe to his page. His name, Credit Gotti. Credit Gotti can teach you how to go about getting the vehicles no down payment using the consumer law. The way I do it with percent down, no down payment is dealing with your credit criteria, because it's your criteria and data points that you have on your credit that allow me to check to see if you eligible to even get those type of line of credit. And then on top of that, you need to know the lender, because if you don't know your lender, then you stuck. You need to know your lender, because like you can have a 780, I can have a 780. You go through Bank of America, I can go through Wells, I can go through Navy Federal. I'm going to get that Navy Federal loan. You're not going to get that Bank of America loan, or whatever the case might be. Because depending on what institution, like let's just say a credit union is not the same lender as a traditional bank. A traditional bank doesn't have nowhere near the credit products as a credit union. Traditional banks is over. They play it out really. They don't have. You really can't build none with them. You can, but you can't. It's like it's for big businesses unless you really know the loopholes and everything. That's why I prefer to go through credit unions. If you want any consumer debt on your credit, if you want to build up your profile, if you want to take out credit cards, if you want to get an auto loan, go to a credit union. Do not go through these traditional banks, especially if you got a weak profile. If you ain't got an auto loan already on your credit, if you don't have a mortgage on your credit, do not go through a traditional bank. Go through a credit union. Credit union, you can have just a trade line on there, and you can get you an auto loan just with a credit union. You get what I'm saying? So, PenFed is perfect. Yep, PenFed is perfect to go through. PenFed, you just said it. Red Pill, Keanu, yep, PenFed is perfect if you want to do it like that. But like I said, y'all, contracts always interfere with your constitutional rights due to the fact that you're accepting a benefit or a privilege from the state on behalf of registering your property, in which automatically excludes you from your common law rights. So anything that's registered is permission slips. Anything that's licensed is permission slips. So it's conversion of your natural born rights. You get what I'm saying? But they are so deep, car companies and everything like that are so deeply involved in interstate commerce that they have converted our constitutional rights to travel and everything to be in commercial. That's why they require the registration. That's why they require the driver's license. Because we live in a regular society there. Just say, hey, use a state ID to buy a car only, right? You can, but they'll still try to require the registration. So that's gonna hurt. But it's still like, don't get me wrong, if the bank's going bad, you can get the car and unregister it. If it's me, you can just go ahead and get a tow truck to take you home if you want to do it like that. If you want to be safe. If you want to be safe, go ahead and let the tow truck take you home. And after the tow truck take you home, unregister the property. Give it like a day or two until it's really clear. You can check your VIN number through the DMV website. It's gonna tell you that you have no registered item there, and you good. You should be good. Yep. Oh, once again, family, if y'all want to contact me at Dimona Estates, y'all. DIMONAESTATES @gmail.com. Again, contact me at DimonaEstates @gmail.com if y'all want a rapid response. I'm gonna give y'all my number as well, but type in Dimona Estates, DIMONAESTATES @gmail.com. Dimona Estates. Also, my phone number, if y'all want to contact me directly, is 224-463-1848. Navy Federal is easy. If y'all want to get into any of those banks right there, Navy Federal is easy. I could I could check your credit criteria right now and tell you, hey, you're going to get a Navy Federal. Just like I did for my students. I look over his whole credit criteria, and he going to be rich. So I ain't worried about him. He going to be good. Yep. All right, family. So I just wanted to explain to y'all that. That's all I had to say for right now. Just hit me up. Do whatever y'all going to do. Peace and love. Have a blessed night.